So a while back ago, I saw the Primogen's video on his tmux setup. I think he's using i3 with Ubuntu back then. He's rocking Arch now, I think. And I also saw Vimothy's video on his tmux configuration, and I was super inspired. So I spent a lot of time building out the sessionizer for my own. And I guess in their videos, they don't really go over the details on how the sessionizer work. Yeah, so I guess today I'll go through my own sessionizer and just show you how everything ties together, I think. Okay, so see, I already have a session right here. Yeah, I already have a session right here, and so everything's located inside this file, tmux sessionizer.sh. This is in my .files directory. If I do a lazy git here, if I do a lazy git thing, does it show? Yeah, in .files and in main. I'm on main. Yeah, it's in my .files, and I store everything with stow, GNU stow, just to manage every .files. And um, so this sessionizer here actually has two components. So the first component is everything inside this file, and the second component is inside these two files. So the file search and the session search scripts. So in the file search, so they both utilize FZF for file finding, fuzzy finding, I think. Um, I've heard a lot of people choose Skim over FZF because it's faster and it's in Rust. I've personally not tried Skim out before because FZF is just like a requirement for Telescope to work. So when I installed telescope.nvim, this one's like it's a requirement. So I also installed it, and it just works. So I've never had the chance to try Skim out, but yeah, I think I'll try it out someday. Okay, so for the session search here, we would do a tmux ls-f. So the reason why we have a -f here is because if you run tmux ls raw like this, then you're gonna get this whole really long string. So it's gonna be the session name and the windows and everything attached to it. And I guess you can do that and then extract out the session name. But I guess that's too much work, so I just use the -f here to get the session name. And if you want to learn more about how the format works, you can do man tmux right here. And I think the thing should be down here in the formats section right here. Here, session name, yeah, session name. So I got session name here. Yeah, so get the session name, pipe that to FZF, put some, cosmetic stuff here. I used word or none because I'll explain later. And then the preview is just tmux list windows -t. You need the -t to tell tmux what session you're viewing, and then do this to pipe whatever FZF is currently, whatever we're currently choosing to that thing. So if I were to actually run the script, you would see that I have only one session, and on the right side right here is the preview of the session. Alright, so that's the session search. I also have one called file search, and basically what it is it's just basically the same thing, but it's only for files, and more specifically files that is inside the document/code folder directory, because I keep everything related to code there. And I also have some argument parsing. So I have a max depth equals 2 here, and a border rounded, because sometimes I like to have a rounded border and sometimes I don't want to have a border. So I parse everything here, and it should be the arguments for this script should be in key value pair. So as you can see right here, so this one's the number of arguments in the script. K is going to be the first, increment I, value is going to be the second, and then you increment I one more time. Then you check if key, blah, blah, blah. Then set the value. Yep. Then you do target equals search. So I have a search function right here. Pipe that into find. Actually, no. Call the find command. Pipe the arguments into the find command as its arguments. So find everything that is a directory. No get, and then I pipe that into set just to remove because okay, remove something like the cache, the build, everything else. You can see right here, cache build .vs code, node modules, nvn, .github, whatever. The reason why we need set here is because if I do max depth of 2, for example, like I'm about to do here, you can see that it's going to look into not only the directory of code, it's going to look into those directories as well. So it's going to store everything like the git folder, the cache folder, build folder. So we got to remove that with set. And then after we clean everything up, pipe that into FZF. And yeah, of course, no border again, no mouse again. Border is whatever we passed in, and do a preview with ERD. So ERD is I think its full name is ERD tree, and it's like a Rust tool for displaying file tree. So it's basically the same as tree, only it has more. If I do icons, it has icons and oh yeah, because I alias this into to be ERD, so you don't see the normal here. So I have an alias here, so I can't really even call the tree command because I already override it. But it's like an improved version of tree. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, all the configurations for ERD, and yeah, of course pipe that in. And so for the same for both scripts, where after the FZF is done, they will echo out the target if it's not empty. And after they echo out this, we can go back into the sessionizer here and we can capture the output. Capture the output because they echoed it out, right? So we can capture it with just normal capturing. And so this sessionizer here runs on two separate occasions, I guess. First one is if it has no arguments, then I'm defaulting it to just search for existing sessions. So I would call the session search script right here, capture whatever output it has, and check the -n flag for a string that's not empty. Check if it's not empty. Then we do a create and switch, passing the session name. And so the create and switch here is actually I'll talk about later. Let's do the number one too. So if you have one argument, then I have two cases here. The argument could either be a session path, like the whole folder path, like we said before. So this thing right here, like it's home, blah, 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 the whole folder path. Or it could just be a special keyword, and I named it --FFS for fuzzy file search. And if that's the case, then it's going to call file search and let us create a new session. Okay. So either file search or default path. And so after, I can also I guess here is where you get the base name of the folder. So base name of every path is just the the final name of the path. So if I have code, so if I have this whole path, for example, if I do base name of that, it's going to be only code. And this here is for replacement because tmux doesn't accept dots in their session name. So I gotta replace dot with underscore, and I also gotta replace the plus sign with an underscore, which is pretty annoying. I haven't found another alternative for just replacing them, but if you guys know, please let me know. And finally, we gotta do a create switch command here. So the create and switch command basically just accepts the session name into it, and if it doesn't have a session name, it's just echo like an error. So session name here, and we do an if statement here to check if the session exists or not, and you do that with the hash session command -t, pass in the session name, yeah, and pipe that into def null because I think this one outputs some weird thing. Okay, we can try that. I can do like dot files. Yep, that's weird. Did I spell something wrong? Oh yeah, I remember this. So this function right here, if it doesn't have a session, then it's gonna get this out, and we don't want to display this. But if it has a session, then it's just going to exit with a positive success return code, and we can check that with the shebang symbol right here. And if it has a session, then if it doesn't have a session, then we create that session, piping in new session, piping in everything, and with the starting shell to be Z shell because I run both bash and Z shell. Bash for the default login shell and Z shell for everything else I do. I don't really. I'm I'm scared of changing them because I've had quite a few crashes with Ubuntu where I have to go into the shell and recover stuff, and I'm not really comfortable doing that in Z shell, so I just keep it in bash. So yeah, create the session, get the window name, rename the window because the first window is always new vim. That's just how I like to do it. And yeah, run shell, Z shell, bam, boom. Okay, so if we don't have if we don't have a session, we create that session, and then we check for the tmux variable. So this tmux variable is going to be non-empty if you are inside a tmux client right now. So if I'm inside a tmux client, this thing is not going to be empty, and I can check for that. So if I'm inside a tmux client, I don't want to do an attach because that's going to create a session. How should I say this? Session inside session kind of situation. So it's looped inside your current session. So we don't want to do that. We want to switch. So I do the run shell command -t, pipe in the tmux client. I will explain that later, and do a tmux switch client. Then -t for session name. Now the reason why I do run shell here and not just like a direct switch client is because because this command right here can also be used inside a pop-up window in tmux. So like if I do a display pop-up like this, if you actually run switch client inside this pop-up right here, it's going to actually switch inside the pop-up and not the outer tmux client. You know what I mean? Yeah, not the outer client. So we gotta pass the tmux client environment right here into -t off the run shell command, because for tmux of 3.3 or above, the tmux client command or environment variable basically refers to whatever client sent out the pop-up command. And yeah, so the client sent out our current session right here, sent out the pop-up display pop-up command, and the tmux client variable inside the pop-up refers to our outer session, so we can switch that. And yeah, and we run this if we're inside a tmux session. Else we just do a normal attach. And yeah, that's basically it for the sessionizer. One final thing is inside my tmux conf file, I bind the small t to the sessionizer without the argument, so it's gonna switch into the like existing sessions, and I bind capital T into the same thing, but with the special FFS to create sessions from a fuzzy find. And I'm going to show you that here. If I do leader big T, it's going to display this. Like we said before, it's a file search script, and I can create a session like this. Just ML pack, right? Create a session, switches out to that, and if I do leader normal T, list only the existing sessions, and I can switch back to dot files. Yeah, and one final thing, in my Z Shell RC, I bind, I think it's TS, right? Yeah, I bind TS to just execute the script itself. So what it does is, let's say I'm not in any tmux session, right? I can't do leader T or leader capital T or whatever. I can first just run the TS command and attach the client if I want, or I can do TS FFS to create a client if I want. But the better thing is, by aliasing TS into the script, I can okay, let's go back to dot files. I can go into my kitty my kitty file right here. I can bind the key maps of kitty to send that command straight to the terminal. So I can do Control T for TS, and I can do Control B for TS, blah blah blah. Actually, yeah, and what it does is I can do Control T here to send the TS command, right? And then choose whatever session I want to attach into, or I can do Control B and create whatever session I want to attach to. So let's say I create VTK, for example. So I'm in the session, Control T for switching out. So back to dot files, back to VTK, and Shift T for like fed, for example. Back to fed, T, VTK, and dot files. So I think I think that's basically it for my tmux configuration. I heard Vimothy actually has like a really cool feature where he can open like the GitHub repository if he's inside a GitHub directory. And that's also pretty straightforward. You guys should check him out. But yeah, I should implement that. But yeah, I guess that's it.